Today on Judge Faith, exes from Wisconsin involved in a tumultuous on-again, off-again romance come to court for one more round in the relationship ring.
You wake up to four slash tired. That's not something a guy would do. That's a woman's thing to do. A scorned woman, an upset woman. That's what that was about.
You are petty. You know who she is? Tell her.
Petty LaBelle.
That's how petty you are.
Man, he could be Petty Murphy, so.
Plaintiff Keontis Young says the defendant was a jealous girlfriend and destroyed his property in a fit of rage. He's suing for car repairs and property damage. Defendant Shavetta McMurtry says she doesn't know because Keontis was a cheating boyfriend who pushed her buttons and got what he deserved.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Young versus McMurtry.
Thank you, Juan. Keontis Young,
Keontis, yes, ma'am.
you are suing the defendant, Shavetta McMurtry,
Correct.
for $4,471 you say she owes you for car damages, ruined clothes, 4 slashed tires, and 2 broken windows.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to assume, based on the description, the two of you were somehow involved in a relationship at some point.
Yes, ma'am, we were.
Okay, tell me what happened, sir.
I met Shavetta about October 2008. I was out hanging with my fellow friends, family member, cousins. She walks in. She was my type.
What is your type?
I like my women tall, but not too tall. Short, but not too short. So on average, I would say about between 5'3" and 6'2". Okay.
That's like most of the
6'2".
women in America, but go ahead.
Well, I like to keep, an open mind.
Did he tell you you were his type when he approached you? What did he say?
He was just like flirting,
Was he your type?
I was kind of tipsy, so I can't.
And you went out, he became your boyfriend at some point, right?
Yes, ma'am.
How long did the two of you date?
I could say like 6 months.
Only 6 months?
Yeah.
This was you met in 2008.
Yes.
And things have been occurring between the two of you all the way up until this month.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, what is this lawsuit about? Who slashed your tires? Who broke your windows? Who damaged your car?
She did it. She did it in a fit of rage. She has a bit of an attitude. It all started with my broken windshield, okay?
Mm-hmm. When was this?
2012.
What happened?
So we were out at a local bar. There was a few young ladies in there that was in the bar. So
It was your type?
Basically.
80% of the women in the
yeah.
bar are your type. I get it. And what
Yes,
happened?
okay, so yes. So I go to the bar to get us a drink.
Mm-hmm.
There was another young lady at the bar having trouble with her order. I made a recommendation as to what she should drink. So she said, well, since you're recommending it, why don't you pay for it? I'm a gentleman. Okay,
So you bought
nonetheless.
her a drink?
I bought her a drink, okay?
I mean, Mr. Young,
okay,
Mr. Young.
see, here's the thing, though. Okay, wait, here's the thing. Let me explain.
All kind of violations happen with that.
Let me
understand?
explain. Let me explain, though, okay? So where we live, it isn't too big. I know a lot of people there, okay? A lot of people know me, okay? I have a reputation, per se. Okay.
So you saw him buy this other woman a drink?
Yes, Your Honor.
And was it a friendly encounter as he described, or was he flirting? He was flirting.
He got to catch them all, like the Pokemons.
I was not.
And so what happened with the windshield?
I had broke his windshield. For one,
With
it started
what?
off.
Her feet.
How?
She kicked my windshield.
I had on heels.
Tell me about the slashed tire, sir.
We were out, and she wants to have this conversation about us getting back together. I tell her no. She wants to argue. I don't want to argue, so I drop her off at about 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, you
okay?
put me out.
Put you out of the car?
Yes, Your Honor.
3 o'clock in the morning.
It was gentlemanly. Like I didn't drop her off.
I had to call a cab.
You're being a gentleman because you didn't push her out of the car. You stopped and you actually said, get out on the street.
In a nutshell, yes. That's exactly what I told her. I stopped. Maybe.
And so the next morning you wake up is what you're telling me, and
I
your
wake
tires
up,
are slashed. How do you know she did it? Did you do it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, well, that's how you know.
So
I'm trying to help. I mean, most times they're like, he can't prove it was me. Well, did you know at the time that it was her?
I knew exactly who it was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a woman's thing to do. Look at it. That's not something a guy would do. That's a woman's thing to do. A scorned woman. That's what that was about. Yes, I knew she did it.
Let me see your Facebook post. Because you post on Facebook on September 3rd.
Yes.
Doesn't appear that you know at the time exactly who did this, but you posted about this on Facebook. So you write, I come out to not one, not two, not three, but all four, my tire slashed. And people respond to your post, hashtag petty. And then you chime in on the Facebook post.
Sure did. Sure did.
Someone writes, she got a lot of time on her hands to do 4 tires, no life check. And you respond to them, tell them basically shut up.
Basically, you know, I got tired of his little fans, you know.
You are petty. And petty, you know who she is? Tell her.
Patty LaBelle.
Patty LaBelle.
That's how petty you are.
And he could be Petty Murphy, so.
Coming up, the exes deliver more drama.
There's a huge pile of my clothes. There's this aroma of bleach.
You need some professional help. You really do.
And later, a Minnesota driver demands to be paid for the damage to her car caused by a runaway horse.
It was dense fog. Something hit the hood of my car.
The back left leg, right above the kneecap, was snapped and the bone was sticking out.
Plaintiff Keontis Young says Shavetta has issues with jealousy and anger. He's suing for car repairs and property damage. Defendant Shavetta McMurtry says she doesn't know because Keontis got what was coming to him.
What happened to your clothes? You said she ruined over $1,000 worth of clothes. When was that, sir?
The clothes happened in about 2010, the clothes happened. At this time, we were, living together. We were together. I get to the house late. She's not happy about it, of course. She wants to argue. I'm tired. I'm drunk. Got to be to work. I go out. When I come back home, there's a huge pile of my clothes scattered all over the house, all over the couch. That's all my clothes scattered. As I approach, there's this aroma of bleach.
You bleached his clothes?
I mean, I paid for those clothes. You know, I bought those clothes for him.
But why were you angry that time?
Because he was out, he came home late, like, you're ignoring my phone calls.
Let me tell you something. You need some professional help. You really do. You just go off, and you're so vindictive. And you say he's cheating, he's doing all these other things. You know, you only have one choice when someone cheats. There's really only one thing you can do, and that's leave. You can't change people. And then you're silly. Right? Because this happened in 2010.
Yes.
It should only take one time for her to flip out for you to know this is not good for me. Because now you're in this cycle of every year something's happened. She's slashing your tires. She's damaging your car. She's pouring bleach on your clothes. What's wrong with you?
Look at her. I mean, she's beautiful. I mean, like I said,
so there are a lot of beautiful women in the world who are not crazy and vindictive.
Right. I agree. I agree. But she holds
What
her
is that?
own. Okay,
What
so
is that?
these are a pair of my work khakis. As you can see, she's cut them up. Okay, she's bleached them. Not only did she bleach them, but she cut the pockets, the seats, out of my pants. So she leaves a note that states, "Now you're literally assed out." On my pants, okay?
It's not funny at all. Let me see the other photos of damages to the car.
So, just recently...
No, you threw a brick through the windshield?
The back windshield, yes.
I bust the windows out your car.
See, she thinks it's funny, but it's really not funny.
She thinks she's justified in doing what she does when you make her angry, even though you may be wrong. Maybe you're cheating, maybe you're flirting. Again, you only have one choice, and that is to leave. But you can't destroy people's property. It just makes you look crazy.
I try to give him the benefit of the doubt, and try to.
How? When?
By giving him another chance, because he try to, we gonna work it out,
Because I love her. I do. I absolutely love her.
That's crazy.
Okay. I give you that.
That is the very definition of insanity, is keep doing the same thing expecting different results. She's not gonna change unless she gets some professional help, because I think you need it.
I think everybody can change.
Really?
I
How's
think
that
you
worked out
stop.
for you the past 6 years?
Not too well.
Every time she damages something, you know what you say to yourself? You know what? She's going to change. I'll be all right. What do you want to say, Warren?
I go to a lot of calls. This is a cycle of violence. It's not going to get any better. That's what Judge Faith is trying to explain to you. She knows the wrong she's doing. You're enabling her to do it. And then, God forbid, I would hate to see something worse happen to you. You get hurt. You got to go, because this isn't going to end well. I promise you it's not going to end well.
Based on everything submitted and the value of the property, you admit to you've destroyed. There's a total judgment in the plaintiff's favor of $2,956. Judgment for the plaintiff.
I do agree that something needs to change because it could be worse. It could go and be a lot more physical damage.
It's over. I'm done with that. He can go find somebody else. Like, I'm okay. I'm cool.
Judge Faith. Childhood friends reunite on social media, only to discover they made better Facebook friends than real-life lovers.
I'm not a bitter ex-girlfriend. I wanted my money, period, point blank.
So when a brother comes to take a woman and they spend $30, $45, that's almost half a light bill.
So you feel that you spent a lot of money on her in this relationship, so why in the world is she still holding you to this $1,000 when you spent far more than that whining and dining her?
Plaintiff Frankie Dorn says her ex-boyfriend asked for a loan to pay off urgent bills, but instead used the money to buy a car. She's suing for 2 unpaid loans. Defendant Christopher Davis says he doesn't owe any money because they were in a relationship, and part of that deal was they shared expenses as a couple.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Dorns versus Davis.
Thank you, Juan. Frankie Dorns,
Yes.
you are suing the defendant, Christopher Davis,
Yes.
for $1,700 you say he owes you for unpaid loans.
Yes.
And as I understand it, Mr. Davis is your ex-boyfriend?
Yes.
When did the two of you start dating? How did you meet?
I've been knowing Christopher all his life, basically. We have a mutual family member, but we're not blood related at all.
What do you mean by mutual family member?
My sister is his aunt, but we're not related. I have a half-sister.
Okay.
And
So you kind of grew up around each other?
Yes.
And when did you, why are you laughing at?
I was just looking at admiring how you look, because you look just like you look. Thanks.
Sir, Mr. Davis, isn't this why you in court right now? Isn't this part of the problem?
It was just that maybe they don't know why I said that. It's because you was Miss Louisiana in 2000, and then you went to be Miss Universe.
Okay, Mr. Davis, you did your homework. I understand. You did your homework. I appreciate that. See, you try to get brownie points, Juan. You see what I'm saying? All right, Mr. Davis, I hear you. You read the Wikipedia article. That's what you're telling me. All right. So now tell me about your case. So when did the two of you start dating?
When I went on the road, I worked for a crew that go on the road. We fix up and repair barns and stuff like that. Since I was up there and had nobody to associate with, didn't know.
Up where?
Up in Ohio.
Okay.
She was on my Facebook. She contacted me, and I told her to come through, and we can go hang out and stuff like that, catch back up on the old times. And
So she sent you a private message on Facebook, and that's how it
Yes.
all started?
yes, it wasn't like private, but it was like a post that's telling me, you come to Ohio, this is where I'm at.
Okay.
And then the
Okay.
conversation went on from there.
It's all about the social media connections.
Yeah, social convenience.
So the two of you dated, it didn't work out, but what happened?
he didn't repay me my money. And
That's why the two of you
It
broke
started
up?
to deteriorate over money.
Okay, how would you describe the relationship when the two of you lived together?
She did, at the time, it was a seasonal job, and my boss had made a lot of money, so he didn't want to go out for the winter. So we had, after this winter storm, it had created a leak up under my house.
This is in South Carolina?
Fixed. Yes, ma'am. I thought it was fixed, but it wasn't. Obviously, one of the pipes was still loose, and it caused my water bill to go up. So I asked her, could I borrow $700 from her? Because when we was in Ohio, I took her out to nice places. I did nice things for her. You know, all on my expense, you know. I bought her
Of course,
clothes.
you're dating, so you're paying for dates, right?
Yes,
Okay.
that's the way.
That's usually what a lot of guys do, the good ones anyway.
Coming up, are the exes really over or just finding reasons to reconnect?
Do you still care for him?
I do a little bit.
Are you happy because you're in the same room with him again?
I see how sure she is, you know.
And later, a husband brings his brother-in-law to court after he misses the deadline to pay back a loan.
So I'm thinking he's going to be moving in December.
You're saying he agreed to pay you back?
Yes, he agreed to pay me back. Yes.
When?
Once he, make a little money, then he'll pay me back the money.
Why didn't you move into the new place? What's the reasoning?
Plaintiff Frankie Dorn says Christopher promised to pay her back. She's suing for 2 unpaid loans. Defendant Christopher Davis says he doesn't know because Frankie was his girlfriend, and that's what couples do.
So we're here because she said that you borrowed $1,000 at one point and $700. Now he's telling me about the $700, but what about this car, this $1,000 for a car?
He had got a job offer in another state, and he decided that he wasn't going to take the job, that he was going to stay local and purchase a car instead.
The money was supposed to be for what?
The money was supposed to be used basically to help him, survive until his income started rolling in with the job offer in Georgia.
Besides money, did you actually have a good relationship with the defendant?
Off and on, off and on.
Do you still care for him?
I do a little bit, yeah.
You
I do.
look like you do. Are you happy because you're in the same room with him again?
I don't know about that.
I see how short she is.
What's your defense for not paying her the $1,000 for the car?
I mean, she.
Usually when you start off with "I mean," it's not a good sign.
Yes, I just don't feel like I I owe her because for the simple fact, once we moved in together, I treated her nice, I mean, we was in a relationship. I feel like that should have been brushed off, and that we should have, just moved forward, cause I mean, we go to a restaurant, I pay for it, I buy her clothes. I mean, we was in a relationship. I mean, why should I have to?
So you feel that you spent a lot of money on her in this relationship, so why in the world is she still holding you to this $1,000 when you spent far more than that whining and dining her, right?
Right.
Okay, what's your response to that?
A 2 for $20 at Applebee's is not $1,000.
So what you're telling me is you prefer Red Lobster?
Actually, I like P.F. Chang's. I'm not a bitter ex-girlfriend, and I wanted my money whether the relationship worked out or not, and that's why I have a promissory note. When he asked me for the extra money, I made him sign the note because I wanted my money, period, point blank.
Why did you sign a promissory note? She said you signed a promissory note. Is that true?
I looked at it as a joke. It's just a piece of paper. I didn't know she was gonna take it this far. I thought after I, wine and dine and, pleasure her and stuff like that, that things would just kind of like brush it off, I mean, I ain't never charged her. It's like I ain't never said, well, okay, I got the, because, I'm from the South, so, we don't hardly give tips and stuff like that. So, we go to a dinner table. I ain't like I tell her, well, you got to go half on the meal and you got to go half on the tip. Our meal might cost $35, $40. And I didn't say you have to pay that.
Well, being from the South, because I'm from the South and I tip.
I'm from
Louisiana. Why is that a Southern thing? I'm from Louisiana. Why is that a Southern thing?
Well, for one, it's like the cost of living is not kind of equal, and it's not hardly a lot of good jobs. So when a brother comes to take a woman and they spend $30, $45 at a restaurant, that's pretty great. That's almost half a light bill. So.
Okay.
And I never charged
Can I see the
anything.
promissory note, please? Half of a light bill.
And also, when she got her job, she had to get ready to work too. I took her to work in the car.
So what about that? I mean, he's actually driving you to and from work every day?
No, that's not true.
This is interesting because in most cases involving relationships like this, it's one person's word against another, and there's never anything in writing. But in this case, I mean, this is your signature, right, sir?
Yeah, I remember this. It was like.
I'm sorry? Is this your signature?
Yes, it was like that. It was like that night she made me sign that paper, and it was on a gift card thing. And I just signed it because, I mean, it's not really even a legal document, really. That's why.
So let me explain a couple of things to you, Mr. Davis. When you put your signature on a piece of paper, doesn't matter if it's a gift card, a piece of toilet paper, a piece of newspaper, a matchbook cover, it doesn't matter, right? Now, She's written a document saying you owe her money and you've put your signature on it. If you don't want it to be taken seriously, then don't sign it. Because when she comes into court, this is a legal and binding now contract between the two of you. Now you've promised to pay her back the sum of $1,700. And I can't just ignore that because you say you didn't take it seriously, right? That's just like you coming in here saying you're from the South and you don't tip. That's problematic for you too. So I have a tip for you today. If you don't want to be bound by documents, don't sign them, sir. Judgment in this case for the plaintiff, $1,700. Good luck to both of you.
Thank you.
We give tips down there in the South. It's just that we don't give no big tips like that, you know.
He was going to pay me back in 2014, 2015 with his income tax. He never paid me back, and I'm just glad that Judge Faith took care of the situation and it's done and over with.
Judge Faith. Exes from Minnesota with differing views on the quality of the relationship battle over money spent while they were dating.
Sarah's an awesome person, a lot of fun, beautiful, outgoing, the person I was looking for.
Looking back over our relationship, Your Honor, this is just not somebody that I want to be with in my life.
You got to get your game a little tighter. Play a little hard to get, Chuck.
Plaintiff Chuck Mann says he thought he'd met the love of his life, but his ex had other ideas about the relationship. He's suing for money spent for a vacation. Defendant Sarah Jane Plehall says she doesn't know because Chuck only started asking for the additional money after she broke up with him. She's countersuing for reimbursement for money paid, harassment, and stress.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Mann versus Plehall.
Thank you, Juan. Charles Mann?
Yes.
You were suing the defendant, Sarah Jane Plehall?
Yes.
For $1,019 money you say she owes you for a vacation?
Correct.
And you are countersuing, ma'am, for $1,000, a reimbursement for money you paid for a vacation, $600, and the rest for harassment and stress?
That is correct.
Okay, why don't you give me some background, Mr. Mann? Tell me how you know the defendant.
Sarah and I met on a dating site called Match. And Sarah and I started chatting, and before you know it, we met and we were dating. Sarah's an awesome person, a lot of fun, beautiful, outgoing, the person I was looking for.
Okay.
And
how long did the two of you date?
We dated for 6 or 7 months.
Why did their relationship end? Who broke it off?
I don't know.
She broke it off with you?
Yes.
Okay. What about you, Ms. Plehall? What happened? You met him, you obviously liked him.
Yes, Your Honor. We did meet on Match.com, and we started dating in August 2015. Prior to that, I was in a over 20-year marriage. Okay. My ex-husband had a 7-year affair, left me for an older woman. So with that, you're feeling rejected and hurt, and so I went on the dating site.
Did you know that he was having an affair for 7 years, or you found out, when you found out about the affair, you found out it was 7 years?
I found out on text messages on his phone. He lied. I thought, maybe he was gay. I don't know. I had no clue.
So how long after your divorce did you get on Match.com?
I would say about a year. I met Chuck, and it was great. He was fun. He liked to do things. We seemed to have a lot of things in common.
Okay, so what happened? The two of you went on vacation?
Yeah.
Where did you go?
January, he took me to Las Vegas.
What happened in Vegas?
We were both sick, so he said, let's do a do-over. So that's why we decided to do Cancun, Mexico.
And that's what you're suing over. You're suing over the cost of this Mexico trip.
Yep. He paid for the trip before, we're a couple, and then it got to be more expensive than he realized. He goes, can you put in any money for this trip? I said, of course. So he said, how about $300? And I said, that's perfect.
So you paid $300 for the trip?
I paid a total of $600. He wanted $300 more.
Before you went on, the agreement was that you would pay $300 towards the trip, right?
He upped it to another $300, so $600 total before the trip.
Okay, is that true, sir?
The $600, yes.
When did the two of you break up?
Right after Mexico.
Right after you got back from Mexico? Why did you break up with him?
I would say like about a month.
Why did you break up with him?
I saw behavior of him in Mexico And looking back over our relationship, Your Honor, this is just not somebody that I want to be with in my life.
Okay, but what did you say you saw in Mexico?
His anger, he gets upset easy, he's irrational, he talks so much, he doesn't listen, he overtalks everybody. He was rude to the ticket agent for not getting our seat together. We met a couple from Canada who were so nice. Her and I went off, we're gone 15 minutes. It was the night before we left, and he just freaked out that I was gone for 15 minutes, saying I left him, he's all alone, just extremely irrational.
Is that true,
crying.
sir?
She was jealous. She was jealous.
He was crying, real tears.
Yeah, real tears crying. I just said, I'm not signing up
for this.
I'm done.
Were you crying because she went off with somebody else?
No, she was jealous. I was talking to some gals from Canada.
Okay.
Oh, please.
And we were sitting next to each other at the bar, and she said, I was sitting right there. You didn't pay attention to me. You talked to them. How do you think I felt?
Prior to you going on the trip, you agreed that she would pay $600.
Correct.
There was no other discussion of money that she had to pay for more of the trip until after she broke it off with you?
You're correct, Judge, but that had to do with her being my girlfriend. And if we were still together, I would not even question even the $600 that I had her
Okay,
pay.
but you know that's not how contracts work, okay? When you make a contract with someone and you say, okay, the agreement is you pay me $600. You didn't say, this wasn't the conversation that happened. You pay me $600 towards this trip to Mexico, and as long as you're my girlfriend, that's all it's going to cost you.
Right.
However, if you break up with me after Mexico, you got to chip in another $1,000.
I didn't say that.
I know. That's what I'm saying. You didn't say that. After the trip, after the fact, when you're upset that she broke up with you, that's when you change the terms of the agreement. And I'm telling you, that's not the way it works. Why is there a restraining order in this case? Who has a restraining order?
She filed a bogus harassment charge.
Why? Why?
Coming up, the breakup goes from bad to worse.
He would say, if you ever leave me, I'll cut you up in little pieces. Oh, I'm just kidding.
What's funny about that?
And later, Texans battle over an as-is sale of a used car that broke down shortly after it was driven off the lot.
So you know you purchased the car as is.
Yes,
you do know
ma'am.
that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So why do you think you get your money back?
We should have lasted more than one day.
Plaintiff Chuck Mann says he only paid for the vacation because Sarah Jane was his girlfriend at the time. He's suing for money spent for a vacation. Defendant Sarah Jane Pleahall says she doesn't owe because she paid the agreed-upon amount for the trip. She's countersuing for reimbursement for money paid, harassment, and stress.
How did it go from Vegas to Mexico? And I understand there was a breakup, but how are we now at a restraining order?
Your Honor, I would love to answer that. After I asked him to, I'm breaking this up, stop contacting me, I would get emails after emails, texts after texts. One of the emails was 5 pages, singly spaced.
Is that true, sir?
He titled it "The Nightmare That It's Over," or my 7-month dream relationship that turned into a nightmare.
Did you do this?
I'm going to sell an ebook.
Chuck. After she broke up with you, you proceeded to contact her and text her every single day.
No.
Yes, you did. 2 months after the breakup, this is what you write. I'm sorry, but I have to tell you that even after 2 months, I really, really, really miss you and everything about you. I can't wait until the day I get to hear you talk in person and look into your eyes. I think about you every day. Every song on the radio reminds me of you. For example, Is It Too Late to Say Sorry?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
I'm going to tell you something, because you're a nice guy. And there's someone out there for you. But you got to get your game a little tighter. Man up a little bit. Be like, all right, it's cool. It was good times while we had them. But you just don't stop writing. You really think daily emails and daily text messages are going to work? No, you're just pushing her away, because here's what should have happened. She broke up with you. She still has anytime there's a breakup, there's still some feelings there. But you have a window of opportunity if you really want to get them back. So here we are, 2 people. She breaks up with you, she goes this way. What everyone does, what their natural instinct is to do, is to go this way behind them. When in reality, what you really want to do is go here. Pull back a little bit. Because then that's going to, well, wait a minute. Why isn't he calling me and texting me? What's going on? Why haven't I heard from him? You would have heard from her. Play a little hard to get, Chuck. So now we have a restraining order here. It didn't have to come to that, Chuck.
Your Honor, may I add to that restraining order as well, why I came to that conclusion where I needed some help? When we were dating, he would say, if you ever leave me, I'll cut you up in little pieces. Oh, I'm just kidding.
Did you say that to her?
I may have teased about something, but I never...
No, it's not a joke.
No.
Saying you're going to cut somebody into pieces, what's funny about that? What's funny about that? Where's the humor in that at all? And now you're upset because there's a restraining order, so now you want to sue. And I'm telling you...
I was going to sue before that. It's in the restraining order.
But I'm telling you, you don't have a basis for a lawsuit. What this lawsuit is sour grapes because she broke up with you before you wanted their relationship to end. You spent all the money in Mexico, and so now you want it back. And that's not really my opinion. That's what you said. That's what you said in court today. That's not the way these lawsuits work. I'm going to dismiss your counterclaim, ma'am. You agreed that you would pay this $600.
Yeah.
I'm also going to dismiss the $400 you're asking him for harassment and stress. You did the right thing. You got a restraining order.
Yeah.
I'm not going to order him to pay you a monetary amount. I'm assuming he's not been in contact with you since you got the restraining order. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so that has resolved that issue. So your counterclaim is dismissed. You did one thing right, Chuck, when she got the law involved. Then you stopped contacting her because you realized you don't want to lose your liberty over this. And I'm going to tell you, you know what Chris Rock said? You can lose money chasing women, but you'll never lose women chasing money. Get your priorities right, Chuck. Okay. Case dismissed. Good luck.
She told me she didn't want to date and that she was having personal issues. That's totally a lie.
I learned that it's okay to stand up for yourself, and it's okay to say no, and especially when someone's controlling and there's bullies, it's okay to stand up for yourself. You're worth it.